All right. Thanks for joining us, guys, on the Primabolics podcast once again. Today we are joined with Corey Boutwell. You've been living under a rock. Corey, mate, I'd love you to give a brief introduction to our listeners who haven't yet come across your work, because you've been doing it for a long time in the space of all things male optimization, living the high-test lifestyle, getting around ownership, around personal development. Mate, give us a Hawkeye view of yourself, what you've been working on in the last 12 months in this space. We'd love to know more about where you come at from this conversation prior to today.
Yeah, so one of the main things I say that we started on was I started learning the biohacking industry first. Before I started my brand, I was helping one of my friends formulate subs for his supplement brand.
Wow.
And I found it absolutely fascinating and fantastic, especially self-optimization. But what I realized that didn't 100% work for me was not knowing the emotional perspective. So the main thing that we focus on a lot of is we facilitate experiences, whether it be health, whether it be business, online social media, or dating. But the root cause of everything that we help people transform is their emotional intelligence. So we help people understand their fear, face their fear, overcome their fear, so they can show up as the best, the person who they want to be in the real world, especially when it comes to, business or dating or making a big decision with your life. Because a lot of people feel that fear or hesitate. And as we know, a lot of the nice guy syndrome and self-comparison thing that's on social media and people wanting to put themselves out there is super scary. And if you haven't got that skill, especially in today's world, the men who do, and the men and women who do have that skill, who can push themselves, just get so far ahead than everyone else. So that's what we teach. That's what we help people experience. And that's what we facilitate things like our, retreats, like the next level retreat. It's at the center that we facilitate. And watching people grow it just fascinates me.
And it's fulfilling stuff. It's fulfilling stuff, man. I love it with Primabolics. Been fortunate enough to work with thousands of people over the years as well, watching them, whether it's we're helping them with transformations more in the physical realm, so helping optimize whether it be stress, sleep, energy, motivation, whether it's and then the flow and effects of that as well. But it's interesting, man. Throughout the time working with people, it's almost been a chicken and the egg scenario, right? Which comes first? Optimize the mind to make the body function better, or optimize the body to make the mind function better? But they're both linked. They're inextricably linked, right? You can't optimize the whole without looking at all areas. Right, so that's why today's conversation was so perfect. And there's so many parallels of trying to the optimization, the biohacking space, the physical optimization space, the training, macros, micros, looking at subs, looking at performance. Then they're looking at the personal development, how you show up. It's the perfect parallel. They both meet beautifully, man. And in your audience, it's great too, because you yourself are in great shape, man. You're prepping for a show last we spoke about as well. So, man, run us through also on the more physical side first, yourself, mate. So where are we at now? What are your physical personal goals and what are we doing at the moment?
Yeah, so it is competing. So I just started very slowly so I like to do a 6-month prep. So I compete in physique competitions and I got a pro card in WBFF in 2019 and I did it naturally. And it's an untested federation. So, and that was a goal of mine. When I was in my early 20s, when I was 20, I was and I was the same size I am now when I was 20. I'm 95 kilos, when I'm bulking. And I was the same at 21. So I got big quicks. People were what the hell, you should compete. And I was I want to do that. And when I competed, I just completely fell in love with it. But yeah, at the moment, I'm just getting really clear on my routine because I want to compete at the end of the year at some point, which is, it gives everything dialed in. But for me, I find the whole competing thing, as well as understanding the body, understanding the mind, the transformation, it's like a container. There's a beginning, middle, and end of transformation. And anyone who's done a bodybuilding show, who's gotten super lean and in such a small period of time. And I did it so natural, as well. I have bodybuilders that I talk to and they're oh, you didn't use Clen? And I'm no. And they're what the fuck? You know what I mean? I was no, I was pissing like a racehorse. You know what I mean? Drinking so much water to get to get really shredded. So throughout that time, what I found for me was because I was so disciplined, I was so consistent, I had to do and I look up to Frank Zane, but I had to do the meditation. I had to go inwards. I'm if I'm going to beat people who are on testosterone, who are ahead of me, I have to do the inner work, the things that people aren't willing to do, that don't usually do, to compete in bodybuilding competitions in order to win. And what was crazy, what was absolutely crazy, what blew my brain, was watching people compete who would then go have a smoke on the break. Watching people in the middle of the day, the people would tell us, the facilitators of the show, I would say, don't go out in the middle of the day and binge on food, because when you come back and you get on stage for your second show, we rate you and judge you on that. So if you completely blow out, like that's not good. And watch people would go and blow out. And I'm eating like a barramundi cooked in ghee, you know what I mean? Like for my meal. And I was like, oh, that's like super fascinating. Like, I'm like, how are people not being this disciplined and consistent? And I was like, oh, because of this awareness that like I am so emotionally connected to this show. It is like my why, because I use this, the shows for me are a big why. It's like every time that I do a show, it's like I've proven to myself that I can do anything. And I'm like, when you're in a bodybuilding show, you're versing hunger. It's not just it's hunger, it's fatigue. It's like your body's tired because you're in a deficit,
stress, crappy sleep.
So yeah.
It's a whole lifestyle.
I got good sleep.
Oh,
my HRV was like above 100 my whole prep. Yeah.
Rare as. That's phenomenal. Well,
right. So I was very meticulous. I'm very meticulous when I prep, but because it's such a big why for me, it's like proof that you can do anything. And then I did, like, for me, it was like, not only at that time when I'm so locked in, I'm like, okay, what else can I have here while I'm so routine and focused? So I was like, okay, I want to love myself more. So I'm going to give love. So every morning on my prep, the first thing I do, getting a hot hit of oxytocin, which from what I've researched is more anabolic than testosterone.
Right? Yeah, apparently, it's a remarkable hormone.
So every morning, the first thing I do is send someone like a really beautiful personalized message when I'm on prep of just like giving them love, why I appreciate them and why I'm so grateful for them, right? Like every single morning. So I get a hit of oxytocin, a little bit selfish, but I also write these messages like feeling like, and doing that, my whole life changed. Like everything changed. Like my awareness, my attunement, how I show up, what I want to do, my fear, like moving interstate, fear of mine, running a retreat, fear of mine, starting a podcast, fear of mine, running ads, doing sales calls, like closing a $20,000 deal when, the closest deal, from that was like $1,000, right? Just like jumping, like making leaps in like, business and stuff. But that was because I did all the work in that situation. So.
Right. Man, this is a phenomenal one. There's going to be a billion... I'm just going to pull this apart because there's a layers to this, right? So there's the personal development part. There's the polarity of extremes because the industry is that. There's a lot of... And what I love you were speaking about there, how we're stepping off stage, looking outside, and people are binging the classic, the Instagram photo with the box of donuts there, picking out afterwards, the smoking backstage, all trying to suppress the appetite with nicotine, like all of this bizarre stuff, right? But we're at a fitness show, right? And it's a funny industry because the industry doesn't talk about the before and after photo. Very little coverage of what's after the after photo, right? There's very little talk of how do we get back to what's meant to be after that, and it's the optimization of health to return back to normality, to allow ourselves to actually function, maintain homeostasis, get back to homeostasis, and then maintain a life of health and optimization in that space. Not we're trying to get an Instagram photo and then fuck it, binge, done now. I cancel my gym membership and I just sit in a cat. It's crazy, but it's so true. So in this like industry extremes where everything is about just that one photo you take on the day to look great on stage, then you're done. You've come at it from an angle of going, I'm going to make this actual journey about self-love and about actually going, okay, I want to optimize my health and performance from the inside out, right? And like, man, I love that the quality of the nutrition's come in because I've learned more and more about the impact of environmental burden in recent months and probably over the last few years. Really drilled down on just the sheer amount of chemical burden our body has to deal with, our detoxification system has to deal with, how much extra stress and strain that places on our body, how much harder it is to optimize hormones and balance hormones. One where just
what are the key factors that from environmental and detoxification process? What are the key things that like put stress on the body?
Yeah, got you, man. So it is interesting because I suppose in my earlier career, I was trying to balance things almost thinking it was in a vacuum, right? So I'd work with someone and I'd go, okay, this herb has amazing human data for increasing free testosterone. Let's pick like a tonkat Ali, for example. Amazing herb that can help lower stress, increase free testosterone, lower SHBG, does all this great stuff, right? But then you have someone utilize a supplement like that, and for some reason results wouldn't show up as expected. You'd be like, what's going on here? Why isn't this person responding how you'd expect? Why aren't they just getting huge surges in testosterone? Why aren't they feeling all the energy, the stress-lowering benefits? And I suppose when you think about, balancing or improving a hormone in any given time, or a campaign of trying to work in it with someone to help try and reach homeostasis on it, where environmental burden's a problem. So let's pick something simple. Let's go BPAs, right? bisphenol acetate. It's a compound. It's a plastics, right? Yep. So for simple terms, people, let's say, doing a whole comp prep. A lot of time, we're carrying around our Tupperware containers, and we're using Chinese containers because it's cheap. And when we're doing 50 meals a week, a lot of bodybuilders will just carry it around in plastic containers, put it in the microwave. As soon as we're microwaving that container, we're liberating those BPAs, and microplastics now becoming bigger a thing, which is leaching into our food. Now, these molecules are so chemically identical to estrogen that they actually occupy a lot of the space those receptors would. So estrogen receptors will bind to those, and it will usually exert or block estrogenic effects in the body. So straight away we can see how and that's a chronic input, right? Like that's we're having 3, 4, 5 meals a day, microwaving in plastics, constantly infusing BPAs into our system 4 or 5 times a day, and estrogenic input 5 times a day over a 6-month prep, right? So even here, how do we balance a hormone? How do we increase testosterone with that guy using Tomcat when we've got someone who's putting in estrogenic mimetic 5 times a day for 6 months at a time? So trying to compete with this is fucking impossible. And yet remarkably simple things like just drink out of glass, right? Like microwave things in glass, or use Pyrex, or use drink water, stainless water bowl as best you can. Those sort of simple tweaks, and people would have huge results. So I'd go let's combine the supplementation. Let's pick the right herbs, adaptogens, minerals that'll do what it should, but let's also at the same time try and pull these plastics out. If you're using 30 different, if we're using colognes, deodorants, shampoos, conditioners, man, when you're in the shower next time, flip a bottle of shampoo around, right? And you look at the back of these things, and you've got 20 to 30 chemicals, and complex chemicals, right? Like a US study in 2017, they looked at 100,000 sample size of women. So they got 100,000 women, and they went, let's look at their average chemical exposure, ran bloods, and looked at the amount of compounds they could detect, right? 237 chemicals was the average, the median. The bell curve, there are obviously outliers which were well above that. 237 was the median amount, the average amount. Disgusting, right? So imagine the average person going, okay, my internal system was developed hundreds of thousands of years ago to help me balance my hormones in the environment. It's fine. Now jam 237 synthetic compounds into that system and go, all right, balance it. Fix that, right? And then we go, and so we go, boom, let's fix that. No wonder why the body struggles, right? And things start breaking. And then you apply the crazy stress of modern life. Then you apply the crazy stress of low testosterone. And we see all hormonal imbalances with women. All this stuff floods in. I love where you went with that, because the comp prep environment can be made into a beautiful thing of giving yourself an amazing routine you can anchor into with really great ways to optimize health in a closed environment where, given you're eliminating these things as well, like some of this environmental burden, optimizing sleep, like you're talking about HRV, optimizing supplementation, nutrition, training, it's probably the closest thing you could get to biohacking your entire lifestyle in probably the most radical shift you could do. And you did it from a place of coming from within and without. So, man, that was a really cool, and sorry to go off a tangent there, but just really cool the way you've approached that, because not many people, especially in the early 20s, would probably, have arrived there that early. That's really cool. So moving forward from there, you've gone through, you've found bodybuilding, you've fallen in love with it, you've jumped on stage, you've won your pro card naturally, which is unheard of. You've then catapulted yourself into, from there, what was the bridge from there into where you are now? What pushed you down the road of then going from the physical optimization stuff into sharing with what you've learned with others? What did that look like?
That was a good question. So for me, I never wanted to be a personal trainer. So people would ask me, Corey, why don't you be a PT, or why don't you do this? And I was like, I just don't want to be I don't know. I'm like, I don't want to be a personal trainer because the gym is kind of my thing. You know what I mean? I have a very spiritual kind of connection to the gym. I always say, the same way you meditate. When you meditate, you focus on your breath, right? You're focusing on your breath going in, the peak of your breath, and then the out. And then the moment right before you transition back in. It's the same thing when you're lifting in the gym. You grab a bar, you lift it up, you hold and you squeeze, you go down and you hold and you squeeze. And the second that you're not paying any attention, right, it's shit form, shit rep. You know what I mean? It's not going to be doing what you need. So there's a lot of, focus training that I have in the gym. So I didn't really want to, quote unquote, give that away.
Fair.
So I'm like, this is me. So, but for me, the question is, and what I also got pissed off about was people, when I did, there was a few times of people just give them a program, here. And that's one of the reasons that I also didn't want to be a PT, because people didn't stick to the program. And I was like, why don't they stick to the program?
Yep.
And I was kind of got fascinated with that. And for me, it was like this, it's just this discipline, motivation thing, but it was just, they haven't had the emotional transformation, and they don't have a clear enough why. So the first thing in my coaching program that, we had a program called Overcome the Chaos, which is just helping people find their purpose. They get a really close idea on week 1, and week 8, they know exactly what it is, right? So it's like an 8-week experience that we had. And I'd helped, I don't know, I think it was like 150 to 200 people understand what their purpose is. It's pretty wild.
Wow.
But in that, like when people did find their purpose, like we weren't even teaching health in our program. We were teaching purpose. There is kilos just dropping off of me. Like dropping off of me. Sleep. But we had a guy who had insomnia for 12 years, and he ran through some of the program in the process, and he was doing what we're in, and he was in. And I remember him saying, he's like, oh, you know, I get insomnia and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, we just said like, okay, you know what your purpose is, you know where you're going. So just go to bed, and if you fucking need, just meditate for 8 hours, even if you don't sleep. He's like, okay. He hasn't suffered insomnia since. 12 years on medication. No meds, no insomnia.
Man, so the parallels here are phenomenal because you, I suppose, I had a very interesting conversation once with a life coach about again, going back to the start of the podcast, chicken and the egg of, I suppose, trying to achieve an outcome and whether in this particular conversation, he went from the angle of like, how could you hope to be motivated if you haven't, done the personal work to be in a place where you have clarity around the why, to be motivated to go towards that? How can you be motivated to run at something if you don't know what you're running at, right? And then I went along, and then interestingly enough, I would come in at that point in the career and going, and interestingly enough, how would you then even have the dopamine to have the motivation if your gut health was trash, if you're draining in cortisol, if your testosterone's low, low testosterone linked to low dopamine's produced in the gut as well. If we have poor gut health, that's going to be completely distorted. We have poor energy production as well from that poor gut health, which is screwing with mitochondria. So we can start showing also in the physical sense, well, you sort of have to tackle both because you can't be, and you said it before as well, when you give people the perfect blueprint. I mean, we're in an age now where AI can give you literally the blueprint to anything ever. We are drowning in information, right? Like we can get any answer to any question, which in no other point of human history has that been available to anyone but academics and scholars, right? And now we can finally have access to anything we want at the fingertip. You pay a professional, a coach who's competed pro card themselves and go, here's the exact blueprint. This will make you better.
What someone, if they're going to do something, is if they respect the person who's done it, like, because ChatGPT can do the perfect thing. But if there's a respect and a relationship, they're going to say, I'm going to do what you say. You do not have a personal connection and a relationship with ChatGPT. You have a relationship to it, but it's give me fucking emotion. Give me my shit now. Like when ChatGPT gets something wrong and it gives me the wrong answer, I get so angry. I'm like, oh my God, you're a machine. Get it right. But if that was a person, I would never think like that. You know what I mean? So when you do have the respect and you're motivated by someone due to inspiration, that is what motivates someone to go. So it's like, as someone who's like a coach and like myself who can help people have all these, transformations, the thing that what makes people, do the transformation is because I've done the transformation, but they also know the emotional story behind it because they've seen that on my content and they've seen it on my, heard it on my podcast for what I'm specifically doing. And they go, oh, I want to do that too. And then because I've done it, they know for certainty that it's going to work.
Gotcha. Yep.
Yeah.
The compliance part's a fascinating one too. We see this with supplementation, like we have the everyday series, right? And it's quite self-explanatory how it's meant to be used. And trying to get people initially to use these things every day. We had a lot of people fall off the bandwagon. I'd see stores doing challenges, same problem. Again, lay out a perfect plan. And a lot of that compliance issue, I guess, does come down to the personal aspect as well of going, do we have a strong enough why to try and achieve this goal in the first place? And then in my world has been trying to get them in a physical environment where they can optimize themselves to give themselves the best chance of achieving that. Because my sort of big mission statement has become trying to give people the blueprint to make themselves bulletproof, right? Because I figure if I can give you some resilience in the form of your biology, if I can help you, get your nervous system bulletproof again, stop drowning in cortisol and actually, function, help you optimize testosterone, or for the ladies, estrogen, and get everything in a place where everything is humming as much as we can physically. I guess the self-awareness part plugs in beautifully to this conversation though, and I don't think many conversations like this have probably happened in our space anyway. We're very much the physical world. It's very much bodybuilding training, the physical optimization stuff.
Yeah.
But I really am enjoying the full circle aspect of this where we're talking about the full picture of someone.
It has to be done. I remember studying pickup back in the day. So when I was in my very early 20s, I was like 19, I think it would have been like 19 or 20. I was getting cheated on all the time. It was the worst. I was emotionally attached, anxiously attached to this girl that for me, I was like, this is going to be everything. And that was like a soothing thing that I needed when my parents split up, right? And it was like a few years later. Didn't realize that was the case.
Of course.
No. But during that process, I was listening to this book because I was like, okay, this isn't working. She keeps cheating on me. How can I make her not cheat on me anymore. So I was like, I'm going to read Pickup, right? And I didn't even know it was a thing. A lot of Australians don't know it's a thing, but like it works. There's like a series that you can use as a man. There's things that you can use which like plug on emotional and mental buttons that will make women want you. Now, if you're not an integrated guy, you just lose them. So the second you fall in love, get ready to have your whole world like, there's a lot of dudes in the pickup community who got slammed, a lot of mental health problems. So it's like, be careful. If you're not a stud, like work on yourself. And that's one of the main things that they taught at the start was like, a part of this process has nothing to do with picking up women. You need to become a G, like really well, like first thing they said, go get fit and healthy as fuck. Like go eat well, go do those things. Excel in your career. Make sure that you're managing your money. Be someone of social influence and buy some nice clothes, but be that guy. Don't do it for the reason of just women. You have to become that guy with the authenticity or you're going to get wrecked. And like a lot of guys in the community did, which I thought was fascinating. I just like thought the whole theory around it was like fascinating. And for me, learning that, the biggest takeaway that I got was, okay, just be a stud. You know what I mean? Like that's what I got out of it. So I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna go compete. I'm gonna go like optimize my health. I'm gonna go make sure that I do this. I'm gonna get my DNA tested. I'm gonna get my bloods tested. I'm gonna get everything. So I remember like doing all of that, and I got so obsessed with optimizing my micronutrients, not my macronutrients.
Yes, beautiful.
And
beautiful.
I remember I went for like a long period of time with my micronutrients like maxed out every day, and I just felt superhuman. Like I was like nothing can stop me.
Man, this is beautiful, right? So the micronutrient piece blew my mind as a formulator as well, because when I worked a lot of, I suppose, more naturopathic herbs, or like traditional Chinese herbs or Ayurvedic herbs. I played with a lot of stuff that wasn't traditionally in the sup space. It was more in, like Eastern medicine or what have you. And I'd sort of pull those over and blend them with the sports science stuff and the amino acids we'd use in the sports world more. Your citrulines, your beta-alanines, your creatines, your things you'd see all the time in your bread and butter amino acids that have good data for performance and so on. I blend them with the herbs that would also help, modulate the nervous system around them. Or if we're trying to drive recovery, I'd also throw in things like, your schizandras or rhodiolas to help with blood flow and VO2 maxes, and I'd sort of merge these things that we use in different cultures, right? But the best results came when I did the two and the micronutrients. That was the missing link that went from people getting so amino acids by themselves. Let's take creatine, for example. Great studies, works well. Okay. Creatine, then we throw that in with like a, D-ribose, a CoQ10, awesome. And maybe we throw in some, let's pick reishi, right? Awesome mushroom, great for detoxification, immune system function, heaps of cool aspects. But then when we start throwing in things, okay, well, energy production, we're going to use, B12. Fantastic. Good forms. Let's throw in B12 as well. We can use magnesium, zinc, vitamin C. Cool. Then you plug all that together, and all of a sudden, it just supercharges you, and you feel absurd. So when you said that you're going through that period where you're maxing out your macros, and you are, like on this trip here, like we're filming this right now in Austin, Texas, right? And I've driven 8,000 kilometers. It's like the equivalent of driving like Newcastle to Darwin twice, right? And like it twice, it's absurd, right? And done probably, hit probably 50 odd stores, made bulk connections, worked. And the Australian time zone, as you know, clicks online at our 5 p.m. here. So it's probably been 15-hour days every day for 4 weeks straight, plus the driving, plus the stores, plus blah, blah. Now that would have cooked me years ago. But when you know how to build yourself the safety net, and your micronutrients are on point, your nervous system is being looked after, you're sleeping like a champion, you've got all the things in there to help optimize that. It's amazing the level of resilience you can achieve. But I love that you, in your sort of world though, you need to have both as well, because I've learned I did the physical without the personal development piece for a very long time. Wheels still fall off. Things still break. The why and the clarity is super important. And I think it's why a really natural partnership of Primabolics with yourself and with Set the Standard movement is finally the supplement industry talking to the personal development space and to people who are optimizing from within as well, right? And so now as that is a nice segue, you're early on. So we've done micros. You said before you were helping, you were formulating supplements early on, you were biohacking yourself. Where did that start for you, supplementation-wise? And then now as well, I want to know your daily Substack now. I want to know what subs Corey Boutwell is using right now. You're getting ready for a prep. You're doing heaps of crazy retreats. Yeah. Dude, what's it now? Like, what are you running as your daily Substack? What are you using?
Great. So it's funny because I'm just living with my buddy Mark, and he's a testosterone coach at the moment.
Handy friend to have, right?
So the main thing that we've been actually been using is I've been using like a saffron for mood, which is like fantastic to get into.
Yeah.
I tried, have you ever tried tesofensine?
Oh, I have it back at home because it's tricky to get back in Australia, but here it's a lot easier to get, right?
Like, that's one a month. Like, I was like, I'm on drugs with this thing. I tried it just once the other day. I had one like capsule of it. And I was like, because it's like marked as a fat burner. I'm like, this is just MDMA in a cap. There is like,
yes, they're much more liberal over here. Those listening at home, we cannot get this in Australia, unfortunately, but phenomenal over here in America.
Yeah, it's crazy. I was like, what the hell is happening? No, but it's just like it's just the standard. I have a really high quality magnesium, and I absolutely like make sure that I have that. BPC 157. I'm just drinking that, and my essentials that I make sure that I always have is digestive enzymes, because that helps. What a lot of people don't know is that like digestive enzyme, like sleep, right? Most important thing. And before bed, I tested this on my Oura ring for a really long time. And I'd always have a better sleep if I had digestive enzymes before bed. And that's because like digestion is what ruins your sleep. If you eat really late before bed, it'll ruin your sleep because your body's not focusing on resting and on resting and recovering. It's focusing on resting and digesting because you still got food in your system.
Yes, blood flow.
So I make sure that I have like digestive enzymes before bed.
Where did you get that hack, man? Where did you find that? Because that's really progressive. Like I only heard that.
I made it up.
Cool.
I made it up. It's trial and error, and I've helped heaps of people. And they say, "Oh, I don't get the best sleep." I'm like, "Don't eat 4 hours before bed. Have digestive enzymes." Every single person's like, "Whoa, I'm getting like 90 sleep scores." I'm like, "Yeah."
Yeah, no, it's really remarkable. And I only heard Ben Pekulski, who was a former Mr. Olympia competitor, one of the like very successful bodybuilder. He's now in his 40s and runs a really great podcast as well. And he was talking about using this probably 5-6 years ago. But it was a very interesting concept because you're right. Once you're, the last thing we want to be doing when we're sleeping is driving blood flow to our gut to enhance digestion and have all that activity going on. Our nervous system is meant to be winding down to that parasympathetic state, that rest and digest state. Isn't ideal when we're trying to rest and digest. We're meant to be rest and recovering. That's very cool, man. So like the use of those. And you're right, a lot of people with like shift work, with lifestyle being crazy, I've had plenty of days where it's so late, you finish at 7 p.m, you have to put some calories in, then it's, I'm in bed by 9, so it's that shortened window. And it's a really great one to throw in, some betaine HCl, some pepsin, some digestive enzymes, and really just try and accelerate that process. That's really cool, man. That's a really great hack pick.
Yeah, I love that.
Could get value from.
And then I take milk thistle and choline. So choline for my brain, milk thistle, because when I get my blood test, most of the time, like my liver's a little bit overworked.
Yep.
And for testosterone as well. And then I just take krill oil. That's like my most essential substack that like I stick to above everything else.
Yeah, gotcha.
And then there's this other thing that I've been trialing recently, and I really like it. It's called like isophenylalanine or something like that, but it's something that like helps decrease cortisol.
Sure. Okay. Yeah. Yes. Good.
So, and just having that like before bed.
Nice.
So that's kind of like the standards. Make sure I always got my krill oil for omega-3s because it's hard to get omega-3s if you not have it on there. So a real high quality focus. But most krill oil also has astaxanthin in it. Like it's made. That's what makes it like red.
Yes, yeah.
And astaxanthin is
phenomenal compound.
Yes, it's like the best antioxidant you can get, right? So having those two together is fantastic. Antioxidants work for me. And then it's like the milk thistle specifically for my liver, choline for my brain, and then magnesium to make sure I don't become a brittle old man. But like high quality magnesium, and then. What was the other thing I said? I can't remember now.
No, but I want to go on to the...
I have them.
Milk thistle is fantastic. And look, and this is quite common actually, guys. So if anyone who's like not even competing as well, and regardless of testosterone or any of those things, looking after liver function, quite often we get guys who will write into the page and be going, oh, hi, I've recently done bloods and my liver enzymes elevated, something wrong. For anyone at home as well listening, a lot of time guys get their bloods back and the ALT or AST, the like elevated liver enzyme counts will be high. And quite often what we can find as well is a lot of
they've trained that day.
They've trained that day, done their blood. So anyone who's listening who's had that similar experience, and I get like, I've had hundreds of them over time, like DMS before. If you've trained within 24 to 48 hours, chances are a lot of those metabolic byproducts, or training those inflammatory byproducts, the ROS from that training day is influencing those markers. It goes through the liver, much as all as our blood supply does, and that can influence that inflammatory effect can also have an influence on those markers. So sometimes it elevated, like it's great to have supplementation that also assists the liver, because it has to do, apart from the environmental burden conversation we had before of the hundreds and hundreds of chemicals our body has to deal with every day that all goes through the liver, also training and other inflammation can really also impact liver and kidney function. So like milk thistle, fantastic, 600 milligrams twice a day, beautiful. Tudka's fantastic as well, love Tudka. We started using those as straight essentials. NAC as well, N-acetylcysteine, sick. And also when you spoke about astaxanthin, like the antioxidant piece, NAC's great too, because you get like the liver function support, but you also get a really strong antioxidant effect and the glutathione production piece. So that's a really nice one too.
too. That's cool. And the omega-3 part, you're right, man. That's a very often underlooked part, which is super, super critical. Do you have any dosages you like to use there? Do you have anything you like?
Bro, I go high dose.
Yes, good.
Yeah, I
good.
go high dose. I'd take like 6 tablets.
Yes, great.
Like I go high because it's one thing as well, because I know that like if you haven't had a really high dose of omega-3s, it's like if you got krill oil or fish oil, just to challenge everyone, go and have like 10 tablets and just see what happens to your brain.
It's like, phenomenal stuff.
You think in like incredible. And one thing that I wrote an article ages ago on hydration. I got a podcast on it because I don't know, it had like 20 references, 20, 30 references just on hydration, just in regards to how easy it is to get hydrated, how in the modern world we're severely hydrated. And then with all the food that we eat and then all of the water that we drink, it's very like, it's depleted in minerals because back in the day when we'd have water, it'd come from a well. Water was that's surrounded by rocks and crystals and granite and all these things that would have mineral, then like dirt and mud and clay that would be in there, but it'd be healthy where it comes from. So you're drinking, like you're getting like, I don't know if you've ever had this. Remember I didn't learn this. I was eating 1 kilo of lentils a day and I got blocked up, bro. So I was having the most amount of like stomach pain in my life because like I couldn't fart, you know what I mean? And like I was like so blocked up in here, and I talked to a naturopath and he said, dude, just go smash heaps of bentonite clay. And I was like, you can drink this shit? I thought it was like put it on your face. And he was like, yeah, just drink it. And I was like, okay. It went immediately. And for me, I just thought about this for a while. And I was like, oh, this makes a lot of sense. All our water back in the day used to have a little bit of dirt and mud in it. And bentonite clay literally heals your stomach. Like it heals it. Like every time I feel sick or whatever it is, anytime my guts, I have like indigestion, whatever it is, I have bentonite clay, I feel amazing. And I'm like, oh, that makes sense. So you have clay and then you would have salt in the water from like the minerals.
Yes.
So when you drink it, you'd be cleansing your gut with the clay and the little bits of dirt in there, which are healthy. And then you're also getting the minerals.
Love that.
So I always, like every day, I'll just put salt in my water, and I'll prioritize as well. When I start realizing I'm taking too much caffeine or having too much coffee a day, I'm like, I will have just as much energy if I focus on hydrating myself. So
massive.
Just so I always focus on that. And
yes, I love that, man. That's worth drilling down on, because a lot of people have mistake the remedy to fatigue now, unfortunately, is the caffeine piece. An amazing ergogenic aid. Don't get me wrong. Caffeine is a great tool, and it's helped me build a business.
I think it's hydration, man. I think hydration is the way to kill fatigue.
Yeah, man, and I think when you're saying like taking high doses of omega-3s and electrolytes, right? Like that alone, phenomenal. Because if we think about our entire body runs on electrical signaling, right? Like neurons from the brains, like we're looking at like neurons and dendrites and axons and all the cool stuff. They all rely on electrical conductivity and signaling, right? So to actually pass messages from up here down through our nervous system. Our nervous system is literally just hundreds and hundreds of meters of electrical wiring, really. And so everything has to pass any message on with all those neurotransmitters and the acetylcholines of the world and all the great things that pass those through to the neurons. That all requires a degree of conductivity, and things like that's what electrolytes literally are. They're positively charged ions, your sodiums, potassiums, magnesiums. And so when we find ourselves, and it's very, very common, like particularly if you're training actively, right? Like let's pick magnesium, right? An electrolyte, but also a really, really important mineral. If you train 4 days a week, your magnesium requirements are 50% higher than the sedentary person. So even if you're just training, and 4 days a week is pretty moderate, right? If you're in prep, you're doing 5 days a week of weights, cardio 7 days a week on top. Quite often there's double sessions throughout that prep. So your magnesium requirement might be 2-3 times higher than the average person, right? Now, if you're deficient on magnesium, not only can you not synthesize testosterone and build hormones, for women building estrogen too requires magnesium as a cofactor, but then hydration piece, none of those neurotransmitters can actually work. They can't pass on messages across them. They can't. Muscular contraction gets worse. General cognitive function, brain fog creeps in.
Yeah, what blew my brain on that was I just saw a photo. I was like, this is what your cells look like in terms of like your body's electrical transportation chain look like when it's dehydrated, and it just looked like a desert and bones and like it looked like gristly meat that just been cooked. I'm like, ugh. And then like this is what it looks like when it's hydrated. It looked beautiful. And I'm like, oh, so that's the difference, you know what I mean? That's one reason why I love bone broth, for one of those reasons.
Yeah, cool.
Bone broth's so high, like mineral dense.
Yes.
So like when I was looking at those, I'm like, okay, if I look like this all the time, I'm going to look younger, I'm going to feel better, I'm going to have everything else, I'm going to bring a better energy. And it just works. Like just works.
It does. It's one of those, there's some fundamentals, truths just up.
Easiest to let go though, because it's like, try to remember to drink that much during a day. I have the water and put the salt, and then like, keeping that on top of your mind, especially if you're a business owner, like it's like, is kind of challenging. It's like they didn't need someone
It does.
to hire someone to come to you every hour. Drink this.
You need a PA for your sub.
Yeah.
Man, it's funny though, because and you spoke on bentonite clay, right? Activated charcoal, similarly beneficial, but the nutrients in water. So funny segue. I was an environmental scientist for 5 years before I was this. So I was.
Where'd you work at?
I drove all over Central Australia testing groundwater.
Were you with the EPA or something? Or?
So I'd report with the EPA. Mining was part of the industry I'd work within. So I do
I
like.
worked at the EPA.
No way.
Yeah,
dude. What?
I was in leadership and development.
Why did we not talk?
Yeah,
Why
in
haven't we talked
Adelaide.
yet? What?
In Adelaide.
The Adelaide. What? Crazy. So I was doing like mining license development. And doing like greenfields work. We go and explore like groundwater, air quality, dust, noise monitoring, all of it. Right. That's we'll come back to that. That's a whole different podcast. That's crazy. That's mental, man. And you were so right. Like, so, and we grew up on tank water. I've been growing up on a farm myself. Grew up on tank water. Man, there is nothing the same about water, like about rainwater. And when I finally moved into town and I didn't move into town until I was probably in my 20s. Man, it was like I was drinking a swimming pool. Like the amount of chlorine and fluoride.
You taste it.
Man, the taste one, right?
I grew up on rainwater as well.
Yeah. But and also then the nutrient piece of actual groundwater. It's an entirely different assay when you run that thing through a suite of tests versus what you get from standard tap water, right? Like this bleached, chlorinated, fluorinated with all the abundant chemicals from the environmental burden conversation going through the system into that as well. So fascinating sort of segue there with the water piece. But it's funny how sometimes it's not sexy, but the fundamentals, man, hydration / electrolytes, omega-3s, quality sleep products, magnesiums, the fundamentals are easy to forget because they're not sexy. Much like personal work isn't sexy, but it's the fundamentals that underpin success in all areas.
Sometimes the personal work's sexy, bro. Right? We get in there like I'm helping people have some of the best sex of their life and picking up people and reignite like relationships. And they're coming in like, oh, this is juicy. You know what I mean? Like at our retreats, like people get naked. You know what I mean? So it's there, but it's all men, so we don't want it to be sexy, but it's there, right?
But it's there.
We don't want that to be sexy.
It's there whether we want it or not. It's there. Man, it's good. So with it too, and so fun enough, tying that piece of the fundamentals in, and I really quite enjoy this because the fundamental piece, particularly sleep. So you mentioned before you've monitored HR, heart rate variability before. Look at magnesium supplementation, making sure we're not eating heavy meals before bed, and so on as well. And then you touched on cortisol, right? So that's been a big part of my life's work. Like when I published my book earlier this year, it was on stress, right? And everyone is just drowning in it, and how our nervous systems are just a punching bag, right? With texts, calls, emails, work, jobs, training, family, nutrition, all of the milieu of signals we have constantly coming into our body, right? We're overworked, we're over-caffeinated, we're under-eating nutrients, food supply's crappy, all the fun stuff, right? So with you, what were the things you noticed initially when you started supplementing some stuff that would help with lowering cortisol around sleep time? What was your real-world sort of felt experience when you first started doing it?
Well, it was a very, very holistic thing. And you know, it's crazy. Like one thing that's been wild, and I'll answer that question specifically in a second.
Yeah, sure.
But what's been wild is when I traveled and come to Austin, right, living in the Gold Coast, Australia, I'm up at 4:30, I'm in bed at 8. Like I'm eating dinner at 4:30, blah, blah. When I'm here, meeting people and networking, it's all gone to shit, right? So like I'm going to bed at 12 p.m., you know what I mean? I'm at 12 midnight, or I'm going to bed at like 10:30 to midnight, right? Yeah. I'm sleeping in until like 7, whatever this time is. Yeah. I'm out most of the day, so I'm like, shit, what am I going to eat? I'm like, in this chaos. I've been eating before bed because I'll get home and I'm like, shit,
you got to get calories.
I'm so hungry. Not even calories. I don't care so much about the calories. I'm like, I'm just hungry. Like, what am I going to do? Right. So like in that whole situation, it's been like really challenging, but just learning and still making like the right decisions. The thing that I find the hardest though for me is like the amount of, like, it's still like, for me, I'm eating Greek yogurt, I'm eating honey, I'm having like, putting salt in my food. I'm having the rice ups. I eat a lot of egg whites. I'd say like veggie intake is like severely decreased, but everything else is still pretty much taken. So I'm aware in the middle of the day, like when I'm eating, I'm like, all right, in like a week or two, I'm gonna have to lock in and eat nothing but veggies so I can get my fucking micronutrients back up. Like, I got these sups, but like there's no foundational base of these here. And I can see it's like my HRV's like, it's okay and it's like consistent, but I'm like, that's nowhere near as good as what it is when I'm living in the Gold Coast. But at the same time, I'm like, it's okay because I'm going through this season at the moment of this is what I'm doing. But what I am in control of is my perception for how I approach the situation. Now, if you said this to me 4 or 5 years ago, right now, I'm going to bed this late, I'm not getting these supplements in, and I'm not eating all these veggies, I would have a fucking panic attack, dude. I would be freaking out. Like, I'm not going to get this. But what I realized is that stress would affect me more so than what I am now. And I'm so calm and I'm so present and I'm so embodied, and I just take the time. I'm not worried about stress. Financial stress comes in, taxing comes in, this instead of that. I go, business stress, client stress, what I'm supposed to be eating. Plus at the same time, I'm doing cardio every day at the moment. Well, most days, like I'm doing cardio like 5 to 6 days, and I'm like, I want to compete in like a high rocks thing with a friend. So I'm just like, it's some pretty hardcore cardio. Plus I'm training 5 to 6 days a week, like hardcore bodybuilding, and I'm having a blast. Plus I'm doing mobility because I want to make sure that I don't become a crippled old man. And I'm like, it's working. Like I said, real bad knees. And I'm like, I'm sprinting now. I'm like, I couldn't do that like 2 years ago. And I healed from a bulging disc as well, like from stress. A year and a half ago, I had a bulging disc. I was flattened for like 6 months. And like, it felt like the whole world was being like, you need to learn how to calm the fuck down first. So I'm going through a season where I'm learning to emotionally regulate and just choose not to feel stress. Doesn't mean that it doesn't come on. It means that when it comes on, I get aware of it. I understand why they feel stress. I know what I need to be doing. I understand what's happening, but I have the embodiment skill of being able to breathe in and just breathe out and choose to do that because I know where it's coming from. I learned how to intellectualize and emotionally process at the same time for when things come on. So at the moment, that's what I've been learning and going through, and everything's like, it's still working out. Everything's still flowing. I'm happier than I've ever been because I haven't been like, what was in the details? And I'm like, oh, this was a missing skill that I had to learn in order to apply this to everything else, right? So that even if like I miss a sup or I miss a meal or I accidentally have to eat this, I don't have a panic attack about it. I can just go, okay, that's the situation. What can I do from here?
I love that.
Instead,
I love
right?
that, man.
But,
that's very real.
Right? And it's so true. But that, like, how to get there is just self-awareness. It's learning yourself, it's understanding your traumas, understanding your patterns, understanding where things come from, how you show up, and then also understanding other people's human behavior. Because what a lot of people get confused of, which causes them a lot of stress, and they don't understand this, is it's like, I want you to do something. I want to make a connection with you, or I want I want you to, if you're a partner, I want you to show that you love me or whatever it is. And then I say something to you, like I had a client say this to me, and he didn't understand this. He wanted this girl that he was seeing to like go to the gym, and he was just like, he said to her like, oh yeah, you should go to the gym. Like it's good for you. You know what I mean? Like blah, blah, blah. And she was like, fuck you. And I was like, yeah, human behavior, bro. Like you can't say that, right? But he didn't know why you can't say that in terms for understanding
how it lands.
her, for how it's going to show up in her body, right? And when you understand the nervous system and you understand yourself first, it's easier to see someone else, and then you can see how they react, which means you're less likely to trigger other people, which means you think before you say something, and it's just not a pattern that's already been programmed that's coming out your mouth. You go, what's the response that I want to have from this person? Do I want to connect with them? Do I want to feel intimacy? Do I want to get them to do something for me? How do I actually approach this from a position of leadership instead of telling someone what to do? And like learning the skills of overcoming my fear and all of that has been able to, help me do that. Getting rid of nice guy syndrome, making sure that I have boundaries, make sure that I have space, and make sure that I'm not doing everything for everyone else all the time. And like not feeling guilty for that shit, right? Has just like changed everything. But to answer your specific question, because that's now, right? That's what's happening now. Sure. And I'm like, okay, but I'm supposed to be learning this skill, because when I turn the machine back on for like, all right, we're in prep season right now, it's go time. I'm like, I feel great. The other piece to actually understanding, like switching over to focusing on improving like my nervous system come from it was literally same thing, same time. It was my motivation was, instead of wanting to become, how do I want to achieve this? Not even why do I want to achieve this? I surpassed that. Or like, I need to do this thing. It was the question I asked myself is, who do I want to become in the process? I looked at my main motivations. I want a wife. I was like, I want to be a dad. I want to have a family. I want to have the best family. And I want a wife that, I just like look at her and just go, oh my God, I just have this emotional connection and be so attracted to her as well. I see myself as like a really successful business owner, right? I see that. I'm like, oh, that's just a part of me. I see myself looking jacked, having all the muscles and everything. I'm like, okay, the idealized like hero thing, I'm like, of like what that looks like, the ideal man. I'm like, I can become that. But that was the goal. Who do I want to become in that process? But I also looked at like, what's his traits? Who does he look like? How does he show up How does he show up? Blah, blah, blah. And I was like, okay, I created a hierarchy for it. But the first thing was physical and mental health. And I didn't do physical health step 1 or mental health step 2. I did physical and mental health together. And I was like, okay. So, because that's the first. I'm like, there's one in the same, right? They're literally one in the same. So for me, when I did that, I'm like, okay, what's all the things that I can do to optimize, my body in terms of diet, sleep, training, right? Being a bodybuilder and training for a long period of time, I know that side so well, it comes easy to me. First thing is like, okay, well, get the most amount of micronutrients you can in the day. So I'd make a shake that had it would have like chia seeds and it'd have like some greens in there, like actual greens that I'd wilter or something like that. Yeah. I'd make sure there was like some sort of omega-3s. I would put like LSA seeds and pumpkin seeds for iron and all these other things in a shake with like a lot of collagen and less whey and more collagen and blah, 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 blah. Yeah. And I'd use like, I'd do water. I wouldn't do any milks or whatever it is. There was no inflammation. And I'd get as many micronutrients as I can first meal. And then after that, I'd have like a can of sardines for calcium and other omega-3s and blah, blah. So I was so jacked up first thing in the day. I'm like, I've got half my nutrients in and it's 8 a.m. in the morning. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So making sure that I would try to do that. But at the same time, every single morning, I was doing Jordan Peterson's self-authoring program. So a lot of self-reflection. That program took me 6 months to complete, just FYI. Like it's intense and it is just, you're literally author your whole life. I'm like, man, that's like my life story is literally just like it's written out on a program digitally. Like every morning I'd write for like half an hour to 45 minutes just to punch it all out. So I understood myself so well that I got really clear on what I wanted, right? So clear. And I like the quote. It's like, the world will move out of the way for the man who knows what he wants. And in regards to masculine leadership, which is something that I teach men where they can lead their women, lead a team, lead in sales, lead retreats and facilitate experiences. I'm fascinated with masculine leadership. You will never, ever be the leader that you want to be in your life, in your personal life, show up or even want to be or even know who to be as a leader if you don't know exactly what it is that you want. And I feel like for men in particular, we have to spend the time getting clear on what we want, right? Because a lot of men think about what they need. Or I need this sup, or I need this thing, right? That comes from a place of scarcity, man. So the ability to stick to something and the motivation is actually really low. But if you want something and you feel deserving of it, you get rid of the nice guy shit and you're like, I want this thing because I want it, right? It's actually a stronger motivation because you're like, fuck everyone else. I want this for me. And you always hear the story about the man who succeeded in business or got the girl or whatever this. He goes, yeah, I finally just said, fuck this, right? You hear that story so regularly. I finally said, fuck this. I'm not going to care what anyone thinks. I'm just going to do this thing that I want to do. It's because he understood what it is, what he wanted to do. And when you understand, I'm like, I want to become that guy, right? So, and when I understand that's what I wanted, that's when everything combined. And it was like, okay, I'm optimizing my micronutrients. I'm doing the meditations. I meditated for it was 200 days in a row, something like that. And I was just dedicated. I was just doing all the retreats. I was doing the inner work. I was doing the journaling. I was asking the questions. I was getting the coaching. I was understanding. I was putting the things together. I was putting myself to the test. And then that created someone who was just ready to take on the world, right? And then when you start taking on the world, it comes with different practices. But I feel like the skills that you learn when it is what you want and you do it in an integrated way where you're learning about yourself and you've got the foundational backbone of sups and of nutrients and of the diet and blah, 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 blah. When it comes to kicking ass in the world, you have more energy, you have more enthusiasm.
Yes.
And every time you hit with a setback, it's way less. Because it's like your bench press for life is you're stronger.
Well, in traditional Chinese medicine, right, and there's about 35,000 phenomenal points that I'll drill down into from all of those last 2 minutes. That was heaps, but we'll come back to that. So TCM, what they'll do is they'll use the analogy of, I suppose, the easiest one being a full or empty cup, right? So when you're talking about your life force, vitality, they're looking at you from the analogy of your
TCM.
Traditional Chinese medicine. Okay. Sorry. So when we're looking at is someone depleted, burnt out, fried, empty cup. So, and it's really, really great, easy analogy. I use that all the time in seminars because it's really just easy to conceptualize for everyone, right? And when we're thinking of someone who's like you said, who's not waking up, nourishing their body, they haven't got the micronutrients, they're drowning in stress, they've got lack of purpose and clarity, you've got someone who's got a very empty cup. And when you say it becomes so much easier once you've optimized these steps, gone away, gotten the clarity, gotten the purpose, then loaded yourself with micronutrients, we're hitting our macronutrients as well, we're making sure our body's optimized, we start refilling that cup and it makes everything easier to go at. And it also means your resilience is higher, because if you can imagine what would happen to if you're already at a place of depletion when you start, and that can be from a lot of places, emotional or otherwise physical depletion. When life throws something, a curveball at you, you just get knocked the fuck out, right? It's not going to be going, okay, cool, I can just bounce back from this stress and be very malleable and resilient. I've experienced the exact same thing. So when you're saying the later nights, the later mornings, man, it's been funny. I've had the same parallel, and it's been since being here. The time zone threw me out, and it's funny. And because Australia comes online from 5, 6 p.m. onwards, I'm finding myself responding to my team back at home to run the company and so on, and manufacturers and everything, right through till 8, 9, 10 o'clock. I used to go to bed at 9 and again up at 4 or 5. Now you're right. It's like bed at like 10 or 11 on the phone and laptop right up until before then. Entirely different stuff. Blue light exposure, shit, all the stuff, right? And so it's like, but the nice part is, agreed, the ability to function optimally in that environment, and even in a suboptimal environment, does come a lot from how full your cup is at the beginning, right? How well can you foster your own resilience through giving your body what it actually needs, the foundational pillars, right? Stress management, sleep management, optimizing hormones, optimizing gut, making sure your body is working beautifully there, right? And then you've added the nice layer as well of going on top of that, also having the clarity, meaning, and personal development to know when you're in that position. So it's I've had the exact same journey in the last 3 weeks where it's like, this is so foreign, being awake till midnight on a phone, that is really weird, but the ability to still operate through that, still get your workout in the morning, still make sure you're hitting and I love what you said about the morning piece, right? I found there's this really great common thread I've found between whether it's coaches, high-level athletes, whether it's thought leaders. They're always really granular on the morning nutrition piece, right? So like almost it'll always be like some sort of nutrient bomb in the morning, right? And when I made like Everyday Health a few years ago, that was front of mind, is going, if someone's going to go out into just putting out fires all day, they're just going to fall headlong into a 70-hour working week. They're going to be trying to crushing calls and emails and texts and relationships and jobs and all the stuff that just the chaos of life, right? You want to make damn certain you're starting your day from a place of having the micronutrients your body requires, making sure that your body has the resources it needs when you call upon it. Because a lot of time we're going, like, pick a caffeine, for example. If you're going, hey, we're going to set a signal to the body going, okay, we want to try and increase cortisol and adrenaline and increase energy production and arousal. All those things require nutrients to function, right? Like all those neurotransmitters.
Do you know Bruce Ames?
No.
So this, I think he's dead. I'm actually not sure. I'm not sure if he's alive. But I'm not sure, but I think he may have passed.
Okay,
but he wrote a theory called triage theory, and there's a lot of studies that have been done, and this is what blew my brain. And I stick to this religiously. So when guys come into my community, we've done the emotional processing, we've done the mental stuff, and we're adding in the physical stuff as well. It's like, okay, what can I do to this? How can I optimize? How can I move? How can I get more energy? Sometimes it's like the solutions are just so simple. And his theory was this. And there's a lot of evidence to back it up. Like, I think Rhonda Patrick interviewed him before he passed, but it basically was, if your body doesn't have, and this is like so severe, I'm like, take this in if you listen to it. If your body does not have the micronutrients it requires, like excess micronutrients it requires to fill itself up, then your body will dig in to short-term stress. So if your micronutrients aren't full, it's taking from you. So it's not just like one of those things where it's like, have these things and you'll feel better. It's like, if you're not hitting baseline, you're going into a minus.
Your body will find it. It's remarkable.
It'll just steal it from
you see it like in old age. You'll see like osteopenia, right? Like in the absence of, or even like during pregnancy, right? The fetus will literally like pull nutrients from, if it needs calcium, it can pull it from bone. Like, in like people when we're dieting, right? Like we're finding that we have, or in the absence of blood sugar, for example, our body can break down muscle tissue, cannibalize our own muscle tissue, spit it through the liver to produce the glucose it needs, right? Our body will always find a way, and you're right, in the absence of it, it will find any way it can to get it.
Stress, though, that comes from like hormones and everything else. It's like basically what it does is it's taking from stress and it'll cause it. So it's like people can think like, I didn't eat that well today. Whatever it was fine. I didn't hit my nutrients. Like that's taking from your stress. So like at bare minimum, what I say for myself, if I know I'm not hitting my veggies, I'm not on everything else, like I'm making sure that I'm like I eat like really healthy like meats and eggs and got all the stuff that's like, that decent. But I always make sure at least that I'm getting my salt intake, but in terms of like a high quality mineral salt, hydration beverages that aren't just sodium and potassium. It's like, how can I get the most amount of minerals in something that I'm eating, which is like a bone broth or you know, or something else, or like some sort of like one of those, like the everyday, whatever the
everyday
have.
Yeah.
It's like whatever that is. So at least when I'm having something, if I'm a bare minimum day, I'm at least getting all of my electrolytes, my minerals and something in. Because if you look at a panel, like a micronutrient panel, it's what I find fantastic. It's like, you know, you've got omega-3s, but then you have vitamins and then you have minerals and then you've got everything else. I'm like, well, at least if my mineral stack is as high as possible, at least I've got that hydration as like a backbone.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm having the days where it's like, oh, I can't hit this, or this is hard, or blah, blah, blah. It's like, problem solved. You know what I mean? At least like, you know, minimum like effective dose. Like I'm still going to like my electrical wiring is still going to be on, and I'm not going to be like taking from that.
Yeah, you're not going to be fatigued, brain foggy, showing up energetic. Yeah, as much. Yeah, good answer. And I think that like the micronutrient piece as well, the trace mineral piece as well. Like we know of 108 of them, right? And when I started adding in stuff, like even in my protein powders now, putting in Irish sea moss, you know, 80 has like 90 odd trace minerals. Trying to put it in shilajits, you know, mineral pitches, right? And since I started adding those things in all throughout the formulations across multiple products, you put them in there, man. It's incredible watching how people respond.
Yeah, you know, I feel like the whole thing of like people wanting to be superhuman and be like completely optimized. This is what I think. I feel like we are that person all the time. And it's like we're just removing the cars out the way of the highway so that we can like go as fast as we can. It's not like we're optimizing ourselves to like become better. It's like we're already so optimized. And it's like if we just follow the rules with like, you know, making sure our nervous systems are working. We're getting, you know, we're putting in boundaries. We're not showing up in a way that's like unhealthy for us emotionally. We're taking the right supplementation. Our micronutrients are up. We're getting really good sleep. It's not like it's adding on anything. You know what I mean? Like getting a good sleep isn't an add-on.
It's really taking away things
that were extra. Yeah. It's it's just facilitating, like moving everything out the way so that we can go as fast as we can.
Take the handbrakes out, man. It was funny. You did right. Because it was the bodybuilding analogy is always classic. Because when you're going through preps, you have to titrate down food, titrate up exercise, right, over time. So it's, you know, and so it creates this mentality of. And often when we have people walk into a supplement store, for example, or at a seminar I'd run, fat loss is a massive goal for a lot of people. And the logic is going, well, if I'm doing what I'm doing now and not making progress, I have to do more. I have to either eat less or move more or do more things. Probably 95% of the time, it was handbrakes were in the way that was stopping their body doing what it wants to do.
What kind of handbrake?
Man, stress.
Okay, yeah.
So cortisol in abundance, right? So like it'd be, for example, you'd have like we ran a challenge with a store in a regional town. And they had a woman who joined it. It was an 8-week challenge, right? For the first 6 weeks, this woman did a complete transformation of her entire life in a physical sense, right? So pulled out alcohol. We went from drinking pretty much every night of the week. She had, was living on chocolates, sweets, candies, all that stuff. Didn't like train at all. So didn't have a gym membership and didn't exercise. Just completely sedentary. Was living on, instead of water, hard to drink water, and had soft drinks instead, and full sugar soft drinks, just complete train wreck, right? Went from that to got a gym membership, started training 4 days a week, walked the dogs in the morning, cut out booze, cut out junk food, put on a meal plan, complete transformation, right? This would be like the equivalent of someone completely upending their entire life. And we started this body scan at the beginning of it, do a body scan at week 6 and do check-ins. And we're expecting, she's going to be like, because she's going to transform entirely. She'll have dropped 20 kilos. She's going to completely change her life. She'll be energetic, feeling fantastic. Jumps on the scale. She'd moved like a kilo. And it's like, even from the calorific perspective, it made no sense. Like, she was with all of the abundant sugars and the huge amount of calories she was having every day from junk food and all of that stuff made no sense. Even just from the calories alone, she should have lost 3-4 kilos in that 6 weeks from just the maths, right? And we're like, this makes no sense. We've cut booze. We went from sedentary to training. What's going on? We're now tracking step count. We went from getting like 1,000 steps a day, now we're at 10,000. Like, completely flipped it on its head, right? We're going in there going, look, well, what's wrong? Started pulling apart. Food. Are we hitting that? Yes, I am. Okay, cool. How are we going with the step count? And going there. Gets the watch out and goes, okay, no, look, steps. Looks at it. Now go, let's have a look at your, look, and went like that and flicked down. Saw sleep. Sleep was 1 hour and 57 minutes the night before. And I went, no way. We looked through, is that what happened last night? Were you at a rave? Like, what do you mean you slept sub 2 hours, And this is a 35-year-old mother of 3, right? Like, anyway.
Steps in at midnight. That's what I was doing. I was partying.
And we're like, what's going on? And she's like, it's just a normal night. It's like, and look back through, 2 hours 10, 2 hours 8, 3 hours 4, 4 hours 5. I was like, how long have you been sleeping like this? And she's like, well, my oldest is 5 years old, so that long. And for years and years, she'd had disrupted sleep from when they were newborns because they didn't sleep well. That disrupted her, adrenals significantly. So her cortisol was just through the roof at night because she was always on being mother mode right at night. And it followed on. And her kids, then she had another child as well, another year or two of bad sleep, another child, and so on and so forth. So she had 5 years of fractured sleep. So we said, look, tonight we need you to get your hubby to be on, daddy daycare for the evening, right? If that's your normal time, you get up and sleep's crap for you, just hubby, take the kids for the next few nights. Let's just run an experiment here. We only have 2 weeks left of this challenge, but let's just change nothing else. Don't change macros. Don't change micro. Don't just do exactly what you've done for 6 weeks. But I want you to sleep tonight. So we put on some sleep starts, put on some stuff for before bed to get her actually sleeping in that window. And we got it, and got her from night 1, 6.5 hours, 7 hours, 7.5. In 2 weeks, she lost 6 kilos. As opposed to 1.2 kilos in 6 weeks. So in a third of the time, 6 times the weight loss, right? And you're like, how is that even mathematically possible? Pull the handbrake out. It wasn't make her do more steps, make her train harder, make her eat less, make her... No. Just get her sleeping. And her body will burn the fat, build the muscle, do all the deep cellular repair it hasn't been doing, drop the inflammation. It'll do it for you. Just get out of the fucking way. Let the body heal, let the body function, let the body optimize itself. Like you said, man, the perfect biology we have. We are not smarter than our body. It's the most complex computer we've ever come across, right? In our microbiome alone, there are trillions of cells with complex functions that inform every part of our biology. We have no idea how it works. Yet we think we can outsmart it. It's like, no, just stop doing shit that fucks it, right? Stop getting in the way of it. Stop sleeping like crap. Stop being on screens until midnight and having, really, really poor REM sleep and getting, massive blue light exposure late in the evening. Stop living on only caffeine and getting no actual nutrients in your diet and being dehydrated all the time, and stop not training and not being sedentary. And all of this noise, you're right. It's not about doing more, man. It's about pulling the handbrakes out and just getting your body doing what it wants to do, which is just be optimized and just function. It'll do it. Just let it. It's fucking crazy, man. I love that parallel. That was golden. Man, what a phenomenal conversation. This hour has zipped past. I cannot believe we've gotten there. Man, take-homes for me have been quite epic on your front. But from this, man, I guess for anyone listening who are either already in the Set Standard community or who are coming across you for the first time, take-home messagings out of this here, whether it be the supplementation, whether it's from the training space, whether it's self-optimization, man, any finishing take-homes for us, for our listeners at home that you'd like to wrap up on today?
Yeah, I'd just say the main thing is just actually spend the time to focus on yourself. You're your most important asset. Nothing else is. You are your most important asset. I have this thing where I just feel what is it that we actually get before we die? Because I think about death a lot. And the thing that we get before we die is just emotions. That's it. We can't take our stuff with us. We can't take our body with us. We can't take, our memories with us. So I'm like, okay, what are we here for, right? And it's why do we want to feel good, right? Well, when we feel optimized and our bodies are in good condition and we, have the body that we like, it makes us feel confident. It makes us like ourselves. It makes us feel love. It makes us feel appreciation. It makes us feel gratitude. It's okay. Why do we want to, succeed in business? Why do you want to have children? All these things. It's we're going to feel love. We're going to feel accepted. We're going to feel good enough. We're going to feel like we've achieved something, right? So, but you will miss out the whole purpose of everything if not making those emotional, you haven't prioritized what emotions you want to feel. So this is the question that I ask for people. It's what are the specific emotions that you most want to feel? When I thought about this for me, it was bliss. It was awe. It was self-love. It was pride. And it was wholesome. For family vibes. So I'm okay, if I want to feel bliss and awe, when do I feel those? I feel that and pride when I'm, in a bodybuilding show, or I'm leading a retreat full of people, 30 people going through the most insane transformation of their lives. There's just chaos on the floor. Everyone's just healed from their patterns, traumas moved through their body. They've had a huge realization. They've just we have people call their parents at retreats or call business owners yo, we got to do this thing, blah, 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 and they've gone and done it. Or heal it. It's crazy. People call people at our retreats after they've had a realization. And those moments for me, when I see that happening, or I win a bodybuilding show, or just get up there in the best state of my life, I feel bliss. I feel awe. I feel self-pride, and I always invite my friends and my family along. I feel wholesome. So I set up my life in a way that I can feel and experience those emotions, and I can't experience those emotions as best as possible if I'm not in a good, healthy body, if I'm not in the right mindset, if I'm not doing something that I want to do. So that's the question that I ask people. Instead of chasing everything else that's out there, chase what you want to feel. And I tell people, take that question seriously. I've asked people that question, and now some of the people that I've asked that question to, have answered it seriously. This is like 2 years later from the work that they've done, traveling the world, going to like building shelters in Sri Lanka, to traveling to Dubai, and they'll message me and they're just like, man, I'm so happy I answered that question seriously, and I'm in the best shape of my life, in the best love life of my life. I'm exactly who I wanted to be, and blah, 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 because they just answered that question seriously. So I'll leave everyone with that. And if they want to get involved in any of the work that I do, you can find me at Corey Boutwell on Instagram. I got a podcast called Set the Standard.
Great podcast.
Yep, you can get this, see us there. And I run like a multiple retreats every single year. So get in contact for us for those, because they're pretty insane.
Please do, guys. As you can tell, if you haven't already figured it out in the last hour of this podcast, there's a lot of value you can get from reaching out to Corey, being part of this community, and now bringing him into our community as well. Combining both aspects of both physical, mental optimization. It's going to be a wild ride with plenty of stuff we have coming very soon involving Corey and his entire movement. So
one thing I want to speak on that just real quickly before we end is I think that's a real beautiful thing of like, is, you know, we're collabing right out here. So Corey and Will, Set the Standard, Primabolics are collabing, and it's one of those missing pieces that I find is so important, that it's like, because you can do the supplementation, but you can still be completely miserable. You can do the emotional intelligence stuff, but physically you can still feel like a piece of shit, right?
Be in a body that's sick.
But it's combining. It's like, it's the body, the mind, and the heart, and the intelligence in order to do that. Now, what's really cool is you do that.
Thank you.
I do that, right? And it's I think it's one of the best like missing key pieces for people to have holistic growth and a transformation without having to go. It's kind of like, you know, when you're sick and you're like, do I go see a physio, a chiropractor, an osteo?
Yeah.
Like the doctor, like who do I go see? You know, it's like, you just want to see the one person. So in regards to like self-optimization, it's like whatever we're doing, whatever you see, it's like get around it, give it a shot, especially if you haven't done it before, or if it's your first time and you're tiptoeing. Like this is one of the moments where it's like, okay, I want to be the best version of myself. I want to optimize. I'm sick of being tired. I'm sick of being burnout. I'm sick of having a crazy, ridiculous schedule. I'm sick of letting people the fuck down, and everything that I'm doing, it doesn't feel good enough. Like, why isn't it just not making me feel fulfilled? Like, if you're in that stage, it's like, this is where you need to be. This is your vibe. These are your tribe. These are people you want to get around. These are people you want to network with, who can, like, you know, open up your mind and your life and your heart. It's like, give it a shot and just see where you go.
I love that, mate. I'm looking forward to bringing this out because it is very new for the supplement industry. It's very new for our industry to finally talk as well to your industry, and all of us to get together to make a whole new movement of healthy body and healthy mind together, right? And it's gonna be a beautiful movement. And watching this space, guys, because whatever comes next out of here is going to be huge. But I cannot wait to show you guys what we've been working on behind the scenes. But say, mate, thank you so much for coming on and just dropping knowledge bombs left, right, and center, and showing the integration, how seamlessly it blends together. The talks about self-optimization, personally, physically, mentally, all of it. Man, thank you for coming on. This has been a pleasure.
Thank you.
Fuck yeah, let's go. How good.
Let's go.
Man.
So is there anything else that you wanted to say?
Well, if we are going to do some sort of work, I loved it at the end there. We did do some great, we got on that. That was a good little teaser at the end. The idea of us talking about what's coming next. Should we just do a quick little hooky, really one of us working just as a teaser announcement? Hi guys, we're about to, us at Primabolics are now partnering with Corey Boutwell, Set the Standard, to announce we're doing an amazing collaborative campaign starting, or challenge.
Challenge would be a good idea.
Challenge would be good.
I think the challenge would be good.
Do we cut that there and then book and do a sesh? I mean, because we can do another session, bang out content for that challenge. I mean, we're productive.
Corey likes it when you just leave it as the one.
So you can,
per person.
Let's work.
Because they can edit the thing, yeah.
Yeah, sure, okay, cool. Well, so if we're going to do a challenge then, let's do a... Because we're in a good flow there. We're talking about the physical and mental optimization part and doing all that together. Cool. Do we intro now? Would we run that as us hosting it? We would, wouldn't we? So I'll be bringing you along. So hi guys.
So what's that? What are we involving in the challenge? So it's basically like sup.
Well, the end goal is I'd like it to
panel,
be bloods
transformation. It's just supplement protocol transformation, but the goal is going to be like weight loss and emotional intelligence. Right. So that's the main thing that we're focusing on.
I think weight loss.
Yeah.
Or see, I'm hormone optimization really is the big one. So maybe we call it optimizing.
But not, it's like not as marketable.
No, it's not, is it?
Yeah. So because it's like hormone optimization, because hormone optimization is like, I think the best marketing in that is you waking up in the morning and you can't get a stiffy. Like that's the best like hormones, and that's why like you're depressed and blah blah blah. So picking that angle. So for this one, I think easy is like weight loss works. what I hear a lot of people say is they want to get a good routine, they want to get their morning routine sorted, they want to lose weight. We just call like a 30-day optimization challenge would probably be the best thing to talk about it. But we're optimizing health, weight loss, emotional intelligence. I think that would be like
Cool.
energy, weight loss, emotional intelligence.
Okay, so I'll do. All right, so I'll do intro where I'm hosting it. Because that'll make sense for the rest of the content, and I'll hand over to you, going, mate. What are we doing together with? Okay, so hi guys, Willie from Primabolics Nutrition. We're collabing today with Corey from Set the Standard, mate. We've got a massive challenge we've set together. Corey, why don't you take it away, run the guys through what we're going to be looking forward to over the next 30 days.
I would say maybe say that like we're doing one. If you're going to say that like a self-optimization challenge in 30 days. And this is for people who are tired, want to lose weight, and want to become better leaders.
Cool. Okay, I can know with that.
And then I can say what we'll be focusing on is we're going to be doing a supplement protocol. We're going to be doing a hormone panel. We're going to be making sure that you get your energy sorted out.
Yeah.
And we're going to, teach you how to manage your fears and manage your patterns in your nervous system so that you can show up in the world in a,
I love that.
more integrated way.
Okay, let's run. So I need to look down the barrel. So both of us will be looking down the barrel more so, won't we?
Yeah. So you look down, there's this one.
Cool. All right, guys, if you are tired, burnt out, waking up tired, foggy-headed, struggling with daily life, we here at Primabolics Nutrition have partnered to create the ultimate self-optimization 30-day challenge with Corey Boutwell from Set the Standard. Corey, take it away, mate. What are we going to be getting out of the next 30 days?
Yeah, so this 30-day process is like one of the most seamless processes that we've come up with together. And essentially what we're going to be focusing on is optimizing for weight loss, optimizing your energy if you're tired, and optimizing your emotional intelligence so that you can show up as the strongest, smartest, most integrated leader for your family, for those you care about, and for those at home, but most importantly, for yourself. So every day you're waking up feeling more happy so that your routine is more locked in, your morning routine is optimized. Actually, let me start again this one. Focus on. So in this 30-day challenge, what we're specifically focusing on is optimizing for weight loss. We're optimizing your energy and we're optimizing your leadership skills. We know that you want to be the head of the family, you want to be showing up at work, and you want to be someone who people can be proud of. And in order to do that, you got to have a good routine. You got to have a great morning routine. You got to be getting really good quality sleep, but you have to know why. And if you're someone who doesn't feel sometimes like you have those days where it's just stressed and things aren't working out and you feel bad or you feel guilty or you feel like a fear of rejection all the time, that is where the leadership part comes in. So you can start to facilitate because now you have the energy to with the communication skills. So I'm super excited for this 30 days.
Man, likewise. And we're going to be doing this by looking at blood work, looking at optimizing our hormones, looking at optimizing our sleep, optimizing our nervous system. We're throwing in supplementation, personal work. We're doing the whole box and dice. Yeah. We're going to be tying together both physical work, emotional inner work, personal development work, as well as the perfect tailored supplementation protocol for you, your goals, your blood work. It's going to be the first of its kind. The industry has never done anything like this before, and we can't wait to take you guys along for the journey for the next 30 days.
Yeah, what's really cool is in this too, what's inclusive of the challenge is you will get subs, you will get live coaching, you will get accountability, and you'll get personalized programs so that there is no way that you can't have a transformation in these 30 days. And we're so excited to see what happens for you guys because we've been doing it for a long time and we can't wait to see what you guys get out of this. So
cool. Okay. Lovely. Productive. Man, that was a cool
lovely. Productive.
Yeah. I like it.
So funny, bro.
Productive.
Anything else you want to get?
Challenge. Oh, mate, you know what? It would be cool because we're going to do the Set the Standard stack stuff, won't we?
Yes.
Yes, fuck, we should. Okay, yes. I'll move my shit away and we'll do that. So, Set the Standard stuff. Let's do, because these are the ones that we're going to do as your stack personally. Pre-workout can go to the side for now. Let's do that as your stack. So, what would be great on this one would be a talking piece around going, obviously, Thought would be, I've gotten you on. I'm interviewing you because we're going to, and this will be for quick reels. Reason I put this bundle together.
So the best thing for me, I think, is me marketing this. But what I think would be
so maybe you're interviewing me. Maybe you got me on.
I think part of the podcast. I think you should say as or maybe I should say as part of the podcast too, to edit into the podcast. So say this after it's just been if you join Set the Standard, you're you get this free sub stack, which we've got we've got sleep, we've got health, and we've got testosterone in there. So I think we'll say that. So, and yeah, if everyone who comes in and joins Set the Standard, thank you, Will, so much for creating this. We're doing a supplement stack. So if anyone who joins our men's coaching program for free, you get the Set the Standard Substack, which is sleep, health, and testosterone. So if you guys join, in the next, whenever it is, if you listen to this podcast and you come talk to me and you want to join it, you're going to get this Substack for free, which is amazing. So thank you for putting that together.
Pleasure, man. We put this together for you guys specifically because if you're trying to optimize, like we've said throughout this whole podcast, if you're trying to optimize your physiology, looking at having clarity, meaning, purpose, and optimizing motivation, optimizing all of it, you've got to have a foundation of optimal testosterone. You need to be looking after hormones because if we have high testosterone, we have high dopamine, we have high motivation, drive, recovery, energy, greens, guts, micronutrients, and multivitamin. We spoke about micronutrients the entire podcast, right? So like all of your B1, 2, 6, 9, 12s of magnesium, zinc, selenium, iodine, all vitamin D's, all the great things in there, digestive enzymes in there as well, probiotics in there as well. That's your just all-round wellness tonic, right? And then we also want your men to be dealing with their stress, having optimal sleep, sleeping like they're champions, right? That's the everyday sleep part. So if we can get your guys from Set the Standard sleeping well, nourishing their body with micronutrients, looking after testosterone, they're going to be able to tackle your program from a place of already being so much further ahead than the average person who's drowning in stress, sleeping like crap with low testosterone. So
what we're doing, which we don't do, because we do 6-month and yearly programs. What we do for your audience as well, for who are listening to this, they can come and they can do 2 months if they want to do a test. So they're going to get like the free Substack in here. They can do 2 months in our community. They can get the coaching. So it's like 8 weeks of like, you can get a transformation in that time. No, it's learning all of our teachings in regards to health that I was speaking about, in regards to, the programs that we've got for optimizing your body, your sleep, nutrition, all of that. But also in regards to that, it is the leadership. It is the emotional processing. It is getting clear on your purpose. It is networking with other men. So if anyone's a part of that one, and they're in the Primabolics community and they're a listener of yours, we want to offer that to them, which is something that we don't do. So if anyone who's not listening to this podcast and come and joins the program, they don't get that. Like only you guys get that. So, we're extremely passionate about men's work and men's health and, men's optimization. And, we know from being in a men's community, like it's all, rising tides lift all boats. And when we can do that together in groups, the accountability, it's just insane. But also men have been working together in groups for the longest period of time. You see it now, like, the best businesses and, the tribes back in the days, like we've always been working together. So when you're around a group of men, because we know business ownership is lonely, focusing on growing yourself sometimes is lonely if you don't know people. It's like when you get around that environment, it acts like a supercharger. It's like a turbo on your life. And that's why, you see amazing results and we see amazing results as well. We'd love to help and support everyone. So we'll do that for everyone as well. And all they have to do is just message me or you to get in contact with me, and I'll set that up, and you guys, you get this for free. So
phenomenal, man. It's a great movement. I think never has actually been the supplement industry spoken to the men's work, like the men's health community, and put them together in a place where we can have things to optimize them from both your part of the world and ours, and hopefully build a greater community together. And I think that's exactly what we're going to do over the next coming bit, because we have lots and lots coming up behind the scenes. So, man, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Cool. That was a good one. I like that. Thanks for the offer too. That's cool.
Yeah. Well, I'll do that. Yeah, which is awesome.